FM 98.9. We are glad to be here today for another edition of Heritage Matters. And I have two guests with me, not unfamiliar guests because they were here with me several weeks ago. I have Mr. Pierre Liebert. He's the Director of Culture in the Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship and Cooperatives and the Ministry of Creative Economy. And I also have Mrs. Alicia Daniel Blake. She's the Research and Communications Officer at the said ministry. And so I want to say to them, welcome to Heritage Matters.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I think last time we were here, you had quite a lot to tell us, and I guess we underestimated the quantity of information you had to share. And so eventually we discovered that there was still a lot to be divulged. And so we're back here today to continue that discussion and to get the public informed about the plans and the programs of the Ministry of Small Business Entrepreneurship and Cooperatives and Ministry of Creative Economy. So I will, first of all, before we go into that segment, I just want to update the public on some of the events of History and Heritage Month of activities. The last time we were here, we had just completed the primary schools quiz, and we had given the results of that quiz. And just to recap, the primary schools quiz was very well contested by 4 schools at the finals, and the winners emerging were in third place, the Sandy Point Primary School, and second was the Joshua Obadiah Williams Primary School, and the Sadlers Primary School came away as this year's champions. And so we want to congratulate them, and they will hold the Sir Probin Innes Trophy for the next year until the competition comes around again, and they will have a chance to defend it, or another school will battle hard to claim it. Then we had also announced at that last program that the next upcoming event and final event for the History and Heritage Month of activities was the History and Heritage Tour. That was being very much anticipated, and we had a pretty good turnout. About 50 persons showed up for this event, filling 2 buses. And we went to 3 locations, and it was very, very, very interesting. And I think all the persons who were there had a wonderful tour. First, we went to the Barstay Fisheries, and we want to thank the Barstay Fisheries, in particular Mr. Is his name Jenkins? I can't remember his name straight off. But he gave us a wonderful tour of the facility, showing us how the fish were caught, how they were processed through the facility, and a lot of information about fisheries in St. Kitts. Then from there we moved on to the Gideon Force Organic Farm. This is an organic farm, as the name suggests, that is located in the Wingfield area. And we were delighted to see how these guys conducted the activities at their farm, planting stuff in natural ways, creating their own compost, and they showed us how to create a compost pile and how to keep your plants nice and healthy. Lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, and the farm was quite interesting and extensive. And I think a lot of persons went away with the desire to even start their own little something in their backyards. And we want to thank the Gideon Force Organic Farm for having us there and for such a wonderful tour. Thank you very much. And I think the lead person at the farm was Rastankofa Maccabee, and we want to thank him and his team for that tour. Then from there we moved on to Ogle Farms, which is a livestock farm in the area of a sort of West Farm area. Normally most of these livestock farms are on the lowland, but this one was on the hillsides above the area, and they had hundreds of pigs, goats and sheep, cattle, and they took us through that farm, showing us how the animals were kept, and gave information on production and how the meat is processed. All the meat is processed at the abattoir. And we then ended that tour, and I think that everyone had a wonderful time. And we want to thank Ogle Farms, led by Mr. Scott Keynes, and all these people who welcomed us to their facilities to show us what happens. And this was because the theme for our week or month of activity, was to do with food security. And in fact, the actual theme was celebrating cultural identity through farm to table living. And so that tour was designed to show that was in good effect in St. Kitts and Nevis. And even the lecture, which was presented by Mr. Danny Atherton, a farmer out of Nevis, was also along those lines and very interesting. In fact, after the lecture, we got a lot of requests from people who were at the lecture that they want to go to Nevis and visit that farm also. So we are going to plan one. So those of you who are interested, please stay tuned, and we will give you some idea of what happens with that. We'll try to plan a day when we can go over to Nevis and visit the farm of Mr. Atherton. So please look out for that. Okay, so that was just an update on the History and Heritage Week of Activities, which concluded on the 4th of March, I think it was, with the Heritage Hike. 1st of March it was, 1st of March. So we look forward to next year's event, and we hope to see many of you participating again. We are very pleased with the turnout at most of the events that we had. The lecture was very well attended. The hike also. We had the cultural fair and exhibition at the CFBC College, and that too was a nice display of not only artifacts and historical items, but also the types of foods that we can call local, which also display that farm-to-table theme. So we look forward to next year, and we'll see you then. So back to our guests. And so Mr. Liebert and Mrs. Danielle Blake, welcome again. And what can you tell us today?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be with you again this morning, and good morning to everybody listening. What can we share with you today? That is wide open, but we could share with you a bit of what we have been doing and working on. I think the last time we were here was February 14th?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Okay, and the day before that we
just about a month ago, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So the day before, a lot has happened.
Okay.
We've been a bit busy in between then and now. And the day before that, we would have met with the festival committees and had a feel of what their challenges, concerns, best practices, requests, and so forth going forward for the year. And they would have begun their registration process with us. And we're encouraging all those who would not have submitted their registration with us so far for the year to, put some haste behind submitting them to us so that we could have a complete view of the festivals expected to be happening this year, so that we could plan how we are going to help to assist. Right. So that said, we also since then met with the folklore groups to again welcome them for partnership with us for the new year, and to express our appreciation for the work they would have done for 2024, and go over a number of areas again where they would like assistance and things that they like that we would have assisted with last year.
Wonderful.
How we could improve and, help them grow and expand and build and keep that tradition alive going forward. So we're encouraging all those who have not yet registered or revamped their registration in the folklore scene. Please remember to submit those forms as soon
So
as possible.
this is to folklore groups.
Folklore groups.
Yeah, who are
yes.
interested. And what the event is again?
It's not an event, but regular engagement.
Or just for regular
Yeah.
engagement?
So
Okay.
we register regularly, annually, so we have a clear picture of what groups are out there, what they look like, what their memberships are, what their challenges are, what their needs are, so that we could coordinate our efforts to support them.
So folklore groups, please take note of this and make sure that you register. You will benefit from the collaboration with the Ministry of Culture in this venture. So please register. Is there what should we say?
A fee?
No, the contact information.
Okay, what's the
Is
number?
there maybe a phone number to call, or is it a website to check, or is there a
Yes, there is,
email address?
They can reach us at 467-1396 in order to, and if they haven't already had their forms, because at the meetings we distributed the forms, but there may have been some of them who would not have had attended the meeting, and so they may not have had their forms. So we are located behind the Victoria Road preschool parking lot. So you'll have to come into the parking lot, and there's a big white building at the back. They can come in there and they can get their forms. And as noted, they can call us at 467-1396.
yeah, and there's a cell number as well, 662-9053.
Okay, repeat that again for those who might have missed.
662-9053 for the cell
Okay.
number.
Great. So I hope everyone has those contact numbers, and remember the location for those of you who might be in town and decide to visit the ministry. They are located on Victoria Road, just in the building is it the same building that houses the preschool?
No.
It's a separate building just behind
Yes.
the preschool.
You
but on
enter the
Victoria Road.
parking lot behind the preschool, and it's the building through the big white gates.
Okay, the pearly gates.
Not so pearly, not yet. Yeah, and
Okay.
we most of them are familiar, and they drop in every now and again and engage with us. And we
Okay,
welcome
that's
that.
good. So I gather from that you have a good relationship with the folklore groups in St. Kitts.
Yeah, we have to. And
How vibrant would you say is the folklore tradition in St. Kitts?
Very. I mean, there's always room for improvement. There's always areas where we could grow some more. But they are very passionate about what they do, and I can't discount that at all. And the life and the future of folklore is strong in their hands, and they're very much open to keeping that alive and to getting more and more people, especially young people, involved in keeping our tradition and our cultural heritage alive through our
That is so
folklore.
good to hear, because there was a point where we were concerned that it was dying, and folklore groups were disappearing, and only the old folks who were in it. And when they passed on, nothing happened. But I think an effort was made and has borne fruit in terms of keeping it alive.
Yeah.
And as you say, I note, for example, when we had our senior citizens social, which was one of the programs for the History and Heritage Month of activities, the ministry provided us with a clown troupe.
Well, we reached out to our partners and recorded it.
Yes. So they coordinated a clown troupe to come to visit us. And it was a surprise for me. Why I say that is because the performers, the clowns who came, were all young persons. And when I say young persons, they were like school age.
Yep.
And they performed so well. And what I particularly noted was that they did it not in any, how should I say, well, let's put it this other way. They performed it in what I remember the traditional performance of the clowns was. The same dances and everything was so nice. And they were backed up by the string band, which came with them, and the string band played near authentic clown music, except that they weren't a clown band, but they represented it pretty well. And that's another thing I found was missing from the performance of clowns, especially during Carnival, because of the loud music that was being played by the other troops and bands by Wi-Fi. They also resorted to using Wi-Fi music. But in many cases, they didn't play clown music. They played the contemporary Carnival music of the day, right? But
working on that.
it's great to see them playing to the original clown. And you could actually feel a different vibe when that is being played, and you could see it and feel it in the performers, how they move to that music, totally different to how they move to the regular music.
It's not their music.
Exactly.
And I have to commend the string band team and the clown team and the work of Aidan Hendrickson and his team for coordinating and having those young persons involved in learning clown, and the master folklorist, Mr. Elroy
Sports
Brown, who both of them are facilitators in our knowledge transfer camps.
Nice.
And Mr. Brown would have also lent his assistance to the St. Peter's Clown to teach them those traditional dance moves and choreography.
Wonderful.
So, we applaud their efforts, and we commend their passion and drive to keep these folklore
And
alive.
I wish to support that applause, and I want to say to those St. Peter's people personally, I totally enjoyed their performance and thought they did an excellent job. Really good.
We will convey your thanks. And it's something that, as Mr. Liebert noted, that we're working on. And yes, indeed, there are some traditional folk performances that were at risk of disappearing, including that one that you mentioned, in the sense that today we tend to see a modernization, for example, of the clown suit, and even in terms of being able to dance the traditional dance. That is something that we feature at our camp, as noted by Mr. Liebert, under the facilitators there at our camp that he mentioned. So it's something that is continuous for us. Our camp takes place during December, leading up to the Junior Carnival Parade, where they would have performed as well. And also we have a session in the summer as well. And we shall soon be going out to the schools in order to let the young people know there that they are quite welcome to take part in these camps.
And also we work with other partners, and if I could mention the Department of Youth as well, we're working with them to ensure that there is some folklore taught at their Easter camp as well. So persons interested in learning bull and masquerade, please sign up your children for the Department of Youth Empowerment's Easter camp.
Wonderful.
Once they still got space.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good plug to say register early.
Register. Yeah.
Because it'll be limited space, and so parents, if you want your kids to get involved in the folklore movement, and I'm sure many of them are interested and would love to join, register early.
Right.
Is there but this is the same thing that you mentioned before,
Which one?
where you gave the numbers?
Yes. Yeah. Well, they could call the Department of Youth Empowerment at 467-1393 to register for the Easter camp. And they will be learning different things. I think kite making, I think some cooking might be involved, and we're dealing with the folklore
You're
aspect.
covering quite a lot of the aspects of the culture around
Yeah,
here.
it will never die.
Yeah.
Well, we got to make sure that we safeguard it and pass it on to the next generation. That is our role.
So talk about kite making. Easter is coming very rapidly. And what have you seen in terms of that particular tradition over the years? Is it alive and well, or is there some risk of it dissipating?
Well, there's always risk. We have more and more outside influence. More and more of our young persons' heads in the phones and tablets and
Yes.
TikTok and so forth. And more kites are available ready-made and cheap in the stores. So, and less of our children, kind of outdoors looking for bamboo, banana stalk. Sorry, coconut stalk. Again, old coconut stalk to make the kites, and some are not too familiar with the skills and techniques, but there is still hope. There are a lot of persons out there who do make kites traditionally and sell, and there are those who are open to sharing their knowledge with the young persons, as would be seen in some of these camps, including the one for you.
Okay, so that camp will focus on teaching the children about the art of kite making.
I wouldn't say focus, but I believe it's one of the aspects that
of
they
it.
would be.
And you touched on something, which is why I asked the question, because what I have found in the past, at least decade, is that the imported ready-made kites have taken a hold, which I reference as part of the laziness of our people nowadays. Nobody wants to do anything anymore.
Well,
They want it prefabbed and put into their hands.
easy.
And make it easy rather than the to me, the excitement and the satisfaction of having made something yourself and then see it fly.
Yeah, man.
You know, you can't beat that.
With
And then what I found is
The long clock tail.
the Rotary Club of St. Kitts. The Rotary Club of St. Kitts used to do a competition every Easter, a kite flying competition. It was a competition where we had prizes in different categories. The largest kite, the smallest kite.
That was Rotary. I remember National
was
having
Rotary.
one.
I used to be in charge of it actually.
So it wasn't National back?
Well, I don't know if National had one, but on the Frigate Bellon,
Okay.
right, Rotary used to run one every year.
Okay.
We had prettiest kite. We had highest flying kite.
Yeah.
We had all sorts of different categories.
I remember
right?
being younger and I saw, all these different categories as well, and people flying the kite high. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see this truck roll down the street and onto the playfield. And a couple guys pull out this huge kite, almost as big as a truck, and they put it up in the air.
Yeah,
Massive thing, handcrafted.
There's a guy, I can't remember his name, an old gentleman, whose pride and joy it was every year to produce the largest kite that he can make. And I think that might be the same person with that truck.
That was scary.
And, they have to use the truck to actually
Hold it down.
get enough speed to get it up in the air. Because trying to get it up by hand
Yeah, man.
is a difficult thing. You can't generate enough speed trying to pull, and you need several fellows to run in unison to get it up. You know, so that was something I remember. But what happened, I noticed, is that along the way, we had people making their kites, and they come and they compete. Then all of a sudden, we were getting people competing with the ready-made kites.
Yeah. Well,
Now, and this is where we kind of, I think it went bad from there, because people who had spent their time and energy and creativity producing their own kite suddenly found themselves at a disadvantage, because the ready-made kites were much more pretty, with all sorts of fanciful designs and so on. And there was a chance that they'd be winning
yeah.
instead of the people who were making their own kites. And I think we tried to make it a rule that only kites that were locally made could qualify for the prize. And then people started to say, well, that ain't fair because, but, it was a competition about kite making and kite flying.
Yeah.
And to have people just go in a supermarket and just pull out of off the shelf a kite, going to pay
Yeah.
$10 for it, and then come to a competition and win. They haven't done anything, And then the people who have gone and looked for their bamboo or their coconut stalks
The string.
and their string and gone to the
Plastic bag.
stores looking for the they call it cushion paper, but right, and trying to get the colors and the designs and so on, and then even those who put on the extra bits that will make sound. You know they do that.
Yeah.
The extra bits with the vibrators, and so that when it is flying, it buzzes in the air, and so on. And some people even went as far, or used to go as far. I remember I used to do it, sending messages to the kite.
Oh.
Right? You ever seen that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. They put they put up a piece of paper.
And a string.
Some might even actually put a message on it, right? But they put it on the string, and as the kite is flying, the wind takes it up along the string gradually till it reaches the kite. That's when the kite.
Oh.
That's when the kite gets the message.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, and he was mentioning, these kites. You try to get them up, and once they're up, you try to maintain the flight. Some years we had the problem of lack of wind, and that's unusual for Easter because, as you notice, even around now with Easter approaching, the wind is kind of upscale. So we have the wind factor. We hope that in this coming Easter that the wind keeps blowing so that the kites can stay aloft.
We're doing it again, though.
What's that?
We're going on and we're going to miss a couple of things.
Okay.
But you know, something that you did mention is that there are certain things that we do at Easter time, certain things that we do, and that happens to be one of our ICH domains, the one that has to do with social practices, rituals, and
Before you go on, for those who don't know what
events.
ICH means,
Intangible cultural heritage. Yes. So that is something that we are working on preserving. And one of the things that comes to mind when I think of Easter is the making of conky. And that is something that most of the younger generation doesn't know how to do. I don't know how to do conky
some have never even
myself.
eaten conky.
Good point. But that was one of the Easter traditions. They may be more familiar, younger persons would be more familiar with eating of the saltfish and dumpling.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is something that we have been more exposed to, as you noted, in terms of maybe haven't even eaten conky. But that is something that we would like to feature on our one of our shows, Living Heritage, which is our prepackaged show, which should be starting next month, along with the other live show, which is the Cook-Up. So it's things like those that we would like to showcase and introduce to the younger generation, and maybe some of them might be interested in making conky.
So you'll have some sort of workshop also on that, or
Well, it's a show which we post on social media.
okay.
And so they can look at it at any point in time, and just like the cooking clips that you would find, they could look at it
So it'll
and
be
they could
accessible.
follow along
So,
and
for
make
example,
it
if you
themselves.
log on and you search for making conky, that could probably pop
that
up
would
and-
come up.
Okay.
Or they can search for our show, Living Heritage.
Uh-huh.
Yes, but it's not there yet, but it's
It's
in
in the making.
consideration, yes, and we have to find the appropriate person who we would consider a traditional knowledge bearer who would be able to make the conky
Right.
in the traditional way.
Right. Because
Right.
the other day I was at something and we were talking about it, and we told them, and a lot of the youngsters didn't know what is conky and how it is made. And we told them of the kind of things that are mixed into it to make it, and the fact that the real conky was made by boiling it in banana leaf, you know. And although the modern intervention seems people are making it in foil, but
Yes.
to me it doesn't taste the same because you get a flavor from that. But we're going to take a pause now for a commercial break, and when we get back we'll continue with Heritage Matters.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM. Let TDC Financial Services help you go for your goals. Whether you're thinking of taking that grand vacation, down payment on a house, higher education, TDC Financial Services has various plans that will allow you to go for your goals. Choose from the Accumulator Plus, Investment Starter Plan, and Fixed Deposit. Ready to go for your goals? Visit us at TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Ramsdale good food people always there to serve you. Ramsdale good food people, locations right near you. Ramsdale good food people, in-store specials for you. Ramsdale good food people, when you need better service, Rams is always here. Better value, better prices, Rams is always here. Rewarding your loyalty, Rams is always here. We are community, we are family. We are family. Rams for you and me. We are community. Rams for you and me.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 300 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Okay, folks out there, welcome back to Heritage Matters, and we have with us Mr. Pierre Liebert, Director of Culture in the Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship and Cooperatives, and the Ministry of the Creative Economy, and Mrs. Alicia Daniel Blake, Research and Communication Officer. And so we're having a discussion on their programs that they have in their ministry that are geared towards the keeping culture vibrant and alive in St. Kitts and Nevis, and I think they're doing a masterful job at the moment. Now, last time we were here, we spoke of the master class that was training persons in St. Kitts to do stone masonry. And tell us about that exercise, how it turned out, and what's the latest on it.
Well, the masterclass in stone masonry was led by stone masonry master Mr. Roosevelt Devent, 30 plus years of experience in stone masonry in St. Kitts and Nevis, done work all across the country, and some at our Gibraltar of the West Indies,
That's
our
right.
Brimstone Hill Fortress National Park, and World Heritage Site.
Yes.
By the way, and he would have graciously agreed to share his vast knowledge, skills, and mentorship opportunities to a group of emerging stonemasons and potential masters in their own right. Some from Brimstone Hill, private sector, and some from public works. And that was done between January 21st and 31st, 27th and 31st. And they would have had a tremendous challenge in restoring an old stone wall that would have received some damage over the last year. And that was a very good opportunity for them to learn, not just theory, but practically. And they were able to go through all of the steps from prepping the foundation right up to capping and sealing and pointing, which I understand is one of the most difficult things to do, and restored it to the point where it's indistinguishable from any other wall that didn't
I was
receive.
in Wingfield, the site where that took place, and I looked at that wall and I was trying to find where they did the work, and I had a difficulty finding exactly where. But I saw I saw, because I'd seen pictures of the work in progress.
Okay.
I had an idea of what to look for. But when I saw it, I was like, but that looks like the original wall untouched.
There
you
was
know?
a massive hole in that
Yeah,
wall.
it was excellent. Excellent work was done there.
Yeah, and I mean, they did that under great tutelage, and I can't express our appreciation to Mr. Devent anymore. I mean, enough. Sorry, because what he has is critical, very valuable, invaluable knowledge and skills, and he was very open to imparting that on future stonemasons, and we're really grateful for that.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
So they would have received their official certificates on the 27th, and persons were invited to join in their celebration. And some of them were recognized for their potential to be masters in their own right.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, and some of them work at Brimstone Hill.
Yes, yes. We had 3 persons actually who attended that masterclass.
Outstanding.
And it was so opportune for us because we were actually looking, as you know, for an opportunity like that. There was the Cuba opportunity, which we didn't get a chance to participate in, and they were disappointed.
Yeah.
So when this one came along, it was like, oh, here's a second chance.
Yeah. And there'll be a third chance.
And there'll be a
We-
third chance, we hope. Okay. And
That's what we're here for.
so far, they have returned to work at the Hill and have done some splendid work because we started them on the restoration of a particular area on the Hill where that was kind of neglected.
Feared.
Huh?
Probably feared too.
Yeah, one of the reasons for that is because it's not how should I say, a colorful attraction in the sense that it's a latrine, okay, a toilet.
Okay.
But the thing about it is it's of historical
Value.
importance and value to the Hill, and it shows what those kind of facilities in those days looked like. The steps to it had deteriorated to the point where it's kind of dangerous to go down. Some of the treads were missing, many of the stones were missing. They have replaced the stones, capped them off, and made a nice stairway going down, but built the same way as it should have been in its time.
Okay.
And the actual latrine restored. The beauty about that latrine is that it demonstrates that in those times, which was back in the 1700s and so on, and the 1600s, that these people built toilets that were of good technology in the sense that they were flush toilets, not in the sense that we know of it today. But here's what. When you go in there and use the facility, when the next shower of rain, so that's the only thing it relied on rain,
Okay.
right? There's a whole drainage system above the toilet from the buildings nearby, which channels the water down through those drains and into that facility, which flushes the effluent out and over the side. And so now they have that restored. We plan to even make it a little more, do a little more interpretation on it. What I've asked them to do is we're going to try to rebuild a toilet seat on top of it now. So the original seat is not there. That was wooden, wood. And so they're going to build a seat over it so that people can go there and not only see what the seat would have looked like, but also be able to sit on it and experience what it was like to go there and use the facility.
Interesting.
Okay.
Sounds like a good photo op as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, a lot of people love to do that. Go and show that they're at a toilet. I hope they don't pull the clothes off. And it's a place where I call. I use a different term, but for radio, I'll say it's a toilet with a view. All right?
Yeah.
Because when you sit
Scenic.
there and you're looking, those guys were literally still on the job because they were the top-ranking officers, the artillery officers. They were the top-ranking officers in the fortress. And so that toilet was exclusive to them. Right? The other people had to use a common facility. But theirs, when they sat there and they had a beautiful view of the entire Caribbean Sea. So they could still look out for ships approaching and so on.
Strategic view.
Yes, strategic, and see what's happening, and therefore they can interrupt their activity when they realize that there's some danger and head up without anybody have to come and call them. Something is happening. they can see it right in front of them. So we got that restored, and they were doing that, and I think they've done an excellent job thus far. And we have to thank the ministry for that masterclass that helped to hone their skills and give them the opportunity to learn how to do these things quite well. So thank you once again.
No worries.
On
That's
our
what-
behalf and on their behalf.
Yeah. And we appreciate you taking the opportunity. And the intent is to
we
keep the
appreciate
skill
it.
alive because we have countless treasures, not just Brimstone Hill,
That's right.
but countless treasures around the island and around the country that need the skills to stabilize, restore each of them so that the country and people in the next generations could continue to appreciate and benefit from them.
That's correct. That's correct. You said that that was only the beginning.
Yeah.
What other masterclass you have coming up?
Well, we put out the Coles masterclass. We have Master in Waiting. I mean, to impart his knowledge as well. But there's a lot of excitement and talk over the Coles. But registration has been slow.
Oh,
So we want people to put their persons where their mouth is and actually sign up and come and learn to do this thing.
yeah.
In interacting with persons, they say, "Lord, that they're too hard, Cole's too hard," and so. But it's you like barbecue, innit?
And I'm just going to say, and not only that, but coals, I gather, is lucrative.
Very
You know, you cut that wood free. Yes, it costs you your labor. But
sustainably.
You have lots of land where there's wild, what we call them, kosher trees that they use
Wild tamarind
for that, and wild tamarind.
Yeah.
And you go out there, you get your wood, and you do your coals, and then people always want barbecue. And I think locally, well, there's a proliferation of barbecue
Yes.
around the island anyway.
Yeah, there
So
is
you
demand.
can't say, well, barbecue fading. Barbecue is on the rise. And not only that, but these people have discovered that the stuff you buy in the supermarkets, the ready-made bricks,
Yeah.
they don't give you the same flavor
They do not.
and long-lasting flame and heat as the locally produced coal. And so it's in demand. And I think, and sometimes even people are looking for coals and can't find because of the demand, it goes away quickly. So there's an opportunity for people to get into it and make some money.
Yes.
Right. And a good bit of the persons producing coals right now are older.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there is opportunity for younger persons to get involved and maintain the tradition and, benefit from the lucrative opportunities that it presents.
Do you think the young people are interested in the traditional stuff?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we just have to connect with them
I
and
just
the right
throw that in
ones. And they just
because-
got to,
We have to make it
realign the
relative,
perspectives.
to their context.
Yes.
Yeah, so that they could realize, well, as you noted, this is something that you can make money from, and this is something that is worth the labor that you would have to put into it.
Yeah, man. I mean, in fact, I intend to learn to make coals.
I don't think I'll mind either. I only have a sketchy knowledge of the coal making process, but I've never got involved in the actual detail part of it and to see exactly how it's done. So I would probably want to.
So we're doing this together.
You're right. Right.
All right. Okay. So we're signing up and we're gonna do this together.
Okay.
Because
So to sign up, how do we sign up?
there is we put out the flyer. You could come to the department and sign up if that's the route you want to take. But we put out flyers on our social media and on WhatsApp. There is the QR code on the material that you just scan and it take you right to the registration form and let us know what you're interested in doing. That's it. We are putting out a simple survey to get an idea the types of masterclasses that persons would be interested in and would definitely sign up and take advantage of.
So you have like a list that they can choose from,
Yeah.
but maybe with also some suggestions for others that might
Yeah,
not be on
the
list.
option is there for them to suggest others, so we could weigh and see what the community's priorities are, so that we could plan again around trying to address them.
Okay.
Make the opportunities available.
All right.
And to remind of our social media on Facebook, it's ICH space SKN, On YouTube, it's St. Kitts Culture, and on Instagram, it is Cultural Heritage, SKN, all one word.
Okay. Right. Okay. Good. So that's most of the masterclass you have coming up.
Yeah, so I mean, let us know if you want to know how to make nets, billboard, toss nets, make conky. Take conky on there.
We could.
Learn clown. There's a lot of people that have clown costumes, and I forgot to jump in on that discussion earlier. Have clown costume and you jump up behind the band. I think there are at least 1,000.
Yes. Yes.
If you're interested in learning the actual dance, the actual choreography from a master, living legend, let us know through that form so that we could coordinate and contact you when we would have organized that training or any other on the list or not on the list. Let us know.
Okay. Good. Now we're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be back on Heritage Matters in a bit.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 300 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Let TDC Financial Services help you go for your goals. Whether you're thinking of taking that grand vacation, down payment on a house, higher education, TDC Financial Services has various plans that will allow you to go for your goals. Choose from the Accumulator Plus, Investment Starter Plan, and Fixed Deposit. Ready to go for your goals? Visit us at TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Rams the good food people always there to serve you. Rams the good food people, locations right near you. Rams the good food people, in-store specials for you. Rams the good food people. Rams. When you need better service, Rams is always here. Better value, better prices. Rams is always here. We want your loyalty. Rams is always here. We are community. We are family. We are family. Rams for you and me. We are community. Rams for you and me.
Okay, welcome back to Heritage Matters. We have with us Mr. Pierre Liebert, Director of Culture in the Ministry of Small Business Entrepreneurship and Cooperatives and the Ministry of the Creative Economy, and Mrs. Alicia Daniel Blake, the Research and Communications Officer at the said ministry. And we are here talking about some of their programs for culture that they are working on in order to revive, keep alive, and generate lots of interest in. And there's one event which they had actually, We Village That. Tell us about We Village That.
Well, We Village That is a community-oriented event, and we go around the island and we go to the different villages and we talk to the residents there, and we find out from them, well, who are some of the persons who have contributed toward the development of this area and in extension St. Kitts and Nevis, and who have contributed personally to their area. And we did that for Deep Bay, which was the last village where we villaged that. And
Last.
yes,
Most
and
recent.
so that event took place last night or yesterday evening, and it was beautiful. and we were able to showcase several persons in that community. We showcased Mrs. Rilis Vasquez for her contribution to education. She had been in the teaching profession for the majority of her professional life before entering the mainstream civil service. And we had also an award for Glenda Cooper for her contribution to entrepreneurship in food service. Many persons may know of the restaurant Cooper's. Well,
Yes.
this is the lady who runs Cooper's, and it's now had been handed over to her daughter, but she's the one who for Cooper's who was honored. And then we have Horace Bradshaw for his contribution to entrepreneurship as a bus driver. And the key to his acknowledgement was that he not only simply was a bus driver, or run bus, as we say locally, but he would do so particularly free of cost for the elderly and the children. And so, this is something that we wanted to acknowledge him for. But we not only acknowledged adults, we also acknowledged two young creatives in that community. Amasaiah Maccabee for drumming, and also we acknowledged Serenity Webster for dance. And both young people did a spectacular performance last evening in both areas that they were honored for. So Amasaiah, he did drumming, and I'm sure Mr. Leibold will testify at the end of that there was loud applause for his skills. And similarly with Serenity Webster. And we also had another dancer there yesterday evening, and her name is Tazlinda Bartlett, and what she did was the blessing in dance. So she danced, but she also had some water. Traditionally in the African heritage, whenever there was a blessing, and I guess it stemmed over into the European as well, there was the
Yeah,
use
because
of
using the
water.
Catholic and Anglican churches and so on. Yeah.
So she did that for us. And the community reflections were done by Foster Foe, who gave us quite a bit of information. I personally did not know that much about Deer Bay. Right? And there was a term he used, I don't know if Mr. Lemon would remember it, deep waters, something.
Yeah, well, no.
No, okay.
Well, I guess
maybe
maybe-
someone from Deer Bay can call and tell us
Yeah.
what the saying for Deer Bay was. Something about deep waters, because this is a community right next to the sea that is mainly known as a fishing
Correct.
community. And so he also gave us quite a lot more information. So
But if
you would have been there
But if
too.
you look at the name, it's French. That was
Yes.
part of the French territory originally. Dieppe
Yes.
is a French word for deep.
Oh, yeah. And and he also reminisced on the days when the whole country used to come and picnic at Depe. I remember
Yes,
my
yeah.
childhood.
Gibbon's pasture.
Yeah,
I have been there myself.
yeah, and Canes.
Right? And Keynes' pasture. Yeah, Keynes. So flanking Depe on both
Yeah.
sides. Keynes on the St.
More-
Paul's
more-
side, and
Past.
yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keynes on the Sadler's side,
Yeah.
and
Gibbons.
Gibbon's pasture on the St. Paul's side. Yeah.
And we also gave a prize for community spirit, and that was given to Keith Roy Thomas. And we also had a brief remarks by our Minister of Small Business, Entrepreneurship, Cooperatives, and the Creative Economy, Honorable Samuel Duggins, and also present to assist with the distribution of the prizes was Senior Minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas.
Don't forget our lovely host.
Yes,
out of the
indeed. We had a lovely host who also is from the Deer Bay area, and her name is Alethea Gums, Esquire. So she was able to give us a lovely interpretation for many of the presentations, between the presentations,
Name sounds
because
familiar.
she personally was part of the area, and she was able to fill us in as to what was going on in the different areas of Depe. So it was very homey. It was something that we want to take to the other communities around the island.
Where was it held?
It was held on the Depe lawn.
The Depe lawn.
Yeah.
That's the open grassed area
Yeah.
above the main road as you pass through Depe.
Right next to the project there.
Right,
I'm not
right,
sure what
right.
the
Close to
project
the
is.
bus stop and the
Right.
health center.
I got you.
And the community came around, they sat down, stood around, and they loved it.
Okay.
And, yeah, they were
So when is the
very
next
proud.
edition of
Well,
We Village That?
before you go there, just to mention, we had a 99-year-old resident of Depe Bay. She lives abroad, but she comes back to celebrate her birthday, and she will be making 100 in June, if my memory serves me
June of
correct.
this year?
July.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we were graced with her presence as well.
yeah, Miss Car, I think her name was.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's that?
Ka.
Car? Okay.
That's her nickname. I can't remember her full name, but she's known as Ka.
And
I think it's Caroline.
yeah, I won't tell no lie. But it was a great experience. The community really came out and expressed their appreciation of each other and the community, and that's what this activity is all about.
Good.
To celebrate our various communities, our various villages, and instill, and encourage and facilitate community pride, and to celebrate the persons that you may rub shoulders with, see every day, and tend to forget, or at least put to the back of their mind exactly how important and significant we are to the fabric of our communities, and encourage us to celebrate each other for the good that we often do and contribute to the different communities. Don't always have to be on a national stage. So you're coming to, or everybody don't make it to the national stage, so we're coming to your communities and helping each and every one of the communities celebrate their community.
And if possible, I'd also like to mention Mr. Royd Phipps. It's his brainchild. At the time, it was not termed We Village That, but he explained Mr. Royd Phipps, at the time when it was started, was the drumming specialist in the Department of Culture. And he said that he had attended a workshop on performing arts, and it was to bring awareness to HIV/AIDS. And then when he returned to St. Kitts, he decided, you know what, I should do that as well. And the whole focus was to go into the community using instruments, make a nice, colorful sound so that the residents could come out, and then everybody would follow the instruments to a particular identified area where everybody could gather. Then they would have expressions of the performing arts to showcase whatever the issues in the community were at the time. So he mentioned that, the first one that he did had to do with bringing awareness to HIV/AIDS, and that would have been in the 90s, I think, if my memory serves me correctly. So it was something that was current at that time.
Yeah, I remember that time was, that was.
And so he said, he featured other things like diabetes, reviving the culture, things along those lines. And in time, there was a rebranding. It got the name We Village That. And so it has morphed into what took place yesterday.
Okay. So when is the next one?
Kind of hesitant to say exact dates because we tend to have to coordinate a lot of partners.
So
to
the date
ensure
hasn't
that
been fixed yet.
we have a date. We have dates
have a date,
set
okay.
down to next year, the end of next year.
Oh, wow.
But we try and do this every quarter, but allow us, a little bit of room to solidify the date and fine tune. But we'll be out.
Okay, so
every
we'll give
quarter.
you those in time for the next We Village That. So look out in your communities for We Village That, which will be coming to you sometime soon. And we
Next
hope
quarter.
that we'll have people in the communities that will be targeted willing to not only participate and contribute, but also to attend and be a part of it, because I think it's what I'm seeing here is a revival of that community get together and spirit that I think is lacking
Yeah.
in our
you know,
communities.
beat your chest a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
They did a
Pride,
lot.
and
last
gender
week.
pride. Yes.
That's wonderful. Okay. So so we village that, and what about we finish with that?
Yeah. yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
So we're going to talk about that ICH policy.
yes, sir. That is currently undergoing its final edits, and we should have that with us shortly.
So ICH, as Mrs. Daniel would have mentioned earlier, Mrs. Daniel Blake, is intangible cultural heritage. And I think she's going to explain for us exactly what intangible cultural heritage is, because many people might hear the term, it might, scratch the back of their head, but at the same time, they mightn't be very clear on exactly what is intangible cultural heritage.
Well, intangible cultural heritage is basically what makes us who we are. It reflects on our traditions, the things that we can refer to in terms of our different domains, which have been outlined by UNESCO. And so these would include things like our old traditions and expressions, including language as a vehicle of the intangible cultural heritage. So in that domain there would be things like storytelling, which is something that we have coming up very shortly as well. We have griot
In June.
in June, the 25th of June, which is the Wednesday before Music Festival. So I take the opportunity to encourage persons, if you have friends or relatives visiting, come on out to the next griot. And it's going to be up at Oasis Bar.
Oasis
That's the
Bar.
same place where
what is
we-
that?
That's the same place where we had the stonework, but it's not going to.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's a beautiful tree. One of the attractions to having our griot is that we love to have it on the beautiful big tree, so that we get the best atmosphere, particularly for the Jumbie story.
Okay. That might frighten some people away, but the same.
Don't come on out
it
if you
tells-
want to hear about the Jumbie stories from Old Road.
It
Make
engenders
sure you get there.
curiosity.
Yeah. And so we also have the domain of the performing arts, which is what we were talking about before, our folklore. And not only folklore, but we also have calypso, which is one of our traditional art forms as well. And then you have social practices, rituals, and festive events, which is also something else we were talking about. The making of conky would fall under social practices because it was held at Easter time. It was done at Easter time. And, any other thing that is associated with a particular time or a particular event, things along those lines. And of course, the festive events, part of that domain would include our community festivals.
Okay.
Then you have the domain of knowledge and practices concerning nature and the universe. So things like our use of bush medicine would fall under that domain. And we still have several persons in our communities who know which bush could treat which ailment. And so that is very important. And it also, and speaking of which, I had the opportunity to go to a doctor who studied in Cuba, and one of the things that she mentioned was, in addition to having the knowledge about which made medication or which pharmacy medication can be used for a certain ailment, they also had to provide the natural medication. So she noted that things like guava bush is a natural antiseptic. So things like that are very important for us to know as well, because having a bit of our heritage, or the majority of our heritage being African, we need to know these things. Then we have traditional craftsmanship, Again, it could refer to something we mentioned, knowing how to do the stonework,
Skills.
the skills that we have, and things like pottery, things like that, which is a dying art as well, something that we need to safeguard as well. So all of these things make us who we are, and all of them fall under intangible cultural heritage.
Okay, wonderful. So right now you all are working on crafting a policy around that. What's the success rate, or what's the progress with that at the moment? What stage is it?
We're at final stage. We have spent the last 2 years engaging with stakeholders. Practitioners, knowledge bearers, and persons from different organizations, both public and private, and many persons who never even consider themselves to be stakeholders
Okay.
to safeguarding our intangible cultural heritage.
Good.
The reality is that all of us are. And every institution has a role to play, whether they right now appreciate it or not. All of us have a part to play in safeguarding
That is so true.
our cultural heritage.
That's what I say for this thing. Heritage is me. Heritage is you.
Yeah.
Heritage is all of us.
Yeah, and we have to be prepared to keep it alive and pass it on to the next generations, as opposed to just becoming whatever the dominant superpower is at any point in time.
Yes.
We have to
And-
retain who we are.
To continue what Mr. Liebert has said, I'd just like to shout out the National Bank group of companies. They have come on board in terms of our folklore. And one of the things about being a stakeholder in terms of safeguarding our cultural heritage is that money is needed. All of those 5 domains that I just mentioned, the person who is a traditional knowledge bearer puts not only time into doing these things, but money as well. So there needs to also be some sort of reward. And so when our persons who make these cultural artifacts or performances and so forth come to us, we need to realize that just by supporting them, we become a stakeholder. And so if having these things preserved is important to us, we need to put our hands in our pockets as well.
Yeah.
So, in terms of where we've been with the policy, persons would have had their chance to contribute to it. We've had a draft, an initial draft, assessed by a wide cross-section of knowledge bearers and practitioners last June, and then we shared it with the facilitator and draftsman. The person would craft the policy. So we received a second draft and returned that to the stakeholders for their continued input. And we received that, and now we're working on final edits.
So
we
it's
should be
heading for the
receiving-
final stages.
Yes,
now.
sir.
Yes.
Okay.
After
So-
which it would go to cabinet for final approval, and then we would implement.
And that includes stakeholders from across St. Kitts
Okay,
and
so
Nevis.
would it be supported by some sort of legislative document?
Eventually. We got to take piece by piece. There are a lot of gaps to be filled, and legislation is definitely the one
Part of
but
it,
We have to do the policy, strategic action plan, and things like legislation. And
Okay,
therefore would come out.
wonderful.
You got to strategize.
Yes. Get the best out of it. Yes. Okay. So when we come back, I think we're going to talk about one of the things you have in the pipeline for the kids, right? So we're going to take a break now. But before we take a break, I just want to invite anyone who wish to call. It's 466-0989 or 662-0989. We're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be back on Heritage Matters.
Found the Sound 99.9.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
With the Winnipeg Midday News, I am Kevon Brown.
And I am.
Okay.
Okay, welcome back to Heritage Matters, and thank you all for listening and being here. We have with us Mr. Pierre Liebert of the Department of Small Business and Entrepreneurship and Cooperatives and the Ministry of Creative Economy, and Mrs. Alicia Daniel Blake, Research and Communications Officer. And we are talking about their program of activities with regards to especially culture and what they're doing in that regard. And I think that we have been talking so far about lots of things that involve, well, the community in general, but then I think they're also having programs that are specifically targeted towards the much younger population, the children. So tell us what you have in place or planning with regards to the children.
Yes, sir. We have a couple of things planned for the young people to help to ensure that our cultural heritage, our traditional knowledge, practices, skills, and so forth are passed on and championed by our young persons and the future generations to follow them. I think we did mention our knowledge transfer camps. Mrs. Blake touch on them. They take place in the summer session, and some take place in the Christmas session. And we teach some of the the fundamentals of some of the folklore that were at risk of fading. That includes the clowns, Makajumbi, mummies, string band, and who am I missing? Actors. And that continues this year, and we're inviting persons to pay close attention to when we put out the announcements. Stay close to your school, the school's principal's office, and ensure that you get a copy of the registration form, and ensure that your children are signed up to take advantage of this opportunity, where they get first-hand practical knowledge and experience training from persons who have been doing these folklores for decades. And, basically they learn from the best. And we see the fruits of this. You benefited from persons
definitely
learning performing the traditional clown dance. And another set of young persons who went exactly through the camp, performed. They did their first, well, I wouldn't want to say their first, but their non-carnival debut performance. This year it was? The time jumbling up so much. Last year. At a Christmas session in the McKnight area. It was a community
on the step.
On the steps. It was a community event, and we were able to get some of the young persons that learn folklore, and they came from across the island, and they came to perform with their facilitator, Mr. Sports Brown, and they did an excellent job. In fact, at one point he stepped aside and let them go on and perform, and then followed their lead. So the heritage is in safe hands.
Great.
And
great. That's good to hear.
And also to mention that those who are learning the string band instruments, when they were being taught how to play the fife, they actually made their own fife.
Oh, that's
so
good.
So it's not only the actual playing of the instruments, but on the occasion where they can make the instrument, they do as well.
That is a good plus, and that's comes back to what I was talking about with the kite flying.
Yeah,
just flying a kite, having a flute. That to say, you got a ready-made flute, but making one and playing it, there's a completely different feel and a sense of accomplishment and pride.
Yeah, you're
when-
invested.
You know, when you do that.
Yeah. And not only with the flutes, they were right there observing and in some parts assisting with the fabrication of their stilts for the Marco Jumbi.
Okay.
And I can't overemphasize the importance of encouraging our young persons to participate in these things and overcoming their fears.
Yes.
And as parents, helping our children overcoming your own fears that you tend to put on them. Two instances in particular. Oh, I want to go in clowns, no space in clowns. We have space in actors, Lord, not my child. But then the children want to learn to do these things. Don't, put your fear on top of them. They will not be harmed. They'll be perfectly fine.
I see that a lot with a lot of parents because they have their own particular fears about certain things. And when their children want to engage in those things, no.
Yeah.
N-
Your own fear prevents your child from excelling.
And
in
what
an
I
area.
have found is that when you have children who are, let's call it fearless about certain things, the only thing that stops them is people instilling a fear in them that they don't have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know?
And children
so-
are, for the most part, like a clean slate.
Yeah.
And once they anticipate doing something, they don't see the danger in it. It's we, the adults, who see the danger.
Yeah. But then, if there is an inherent danger that you see, you could guide them about not instilling a fear in them, but making them careful to ensure that they avoid
Right.
the
So
dangerous part.
the best place to have them exposed to and practice these traditions is in a safe environment with seasoned professionals,
Yes.
which we offer. So relax.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let the
It
children
reminds me of things like gymnastics, for example, where you get children involved from an early age before they develop that fear of falling
Exactly.
and so on and so on. And they tumble and they turn and they twist in the air and do all kind of aerial feats that if they had stopped to talk about fear, they would never do. And then we get so complimentary of them when they do these incredible feats, but that's because they do not let the fear of these things get to them.
Yeah. And I must commend one parent though that he had a child that was signed up for Marco Jumbi, and he is very much afraid of heights, and that was evident when he was bawling, snotting, and fearful of standing up on the stilts and actually moving off. And his father actually came and helped to encourage him and assure him that nothing can happen. And we were there. It's a communal environment. Everybody encouraging and supporting him. We were still fearful for that whole day, and I guess the day after. But to my surprise, at the end, even before the end, the youngster standing up alone, walking around on the stilts, and that's through the encouragement and of the not only his facilitator, Mr. Bradshaw, but his colleagues that did the camp before, whether last year or
So
the year
everybody
before.
was joining in the encouragement.
Yes.
And supporting him. And even those who started with him, in the end of it, you couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can add to that, the camp is indeed a very encouraging and positive atmosphere. And even now, when the children see me, they come up to me and give me big hugs because that's the kind of push that we give them. It's something we let them know, well, look, this is something that you can do. And so we want to encourage parents out there when we do put out those application forms in the schools, sign up your children. You won't be disappointed. They'll learn a new skill, and it's something that they'll be able to take with them for the rest of their life. They'll make good friends, as Mr. Liebert noted, because even the other participants in the camp, they encourage each other, and it is something positive, something that you should have your child being a part of.
Yeah,
Great.
and some of them were on this show last year. It was last year, right?
Yes.
The Cook Up.
Yes,
And
they want the cook up.
Listen to what they say. Go on YouTube, look up The Cook Up on our social media, St. Kitts Culture. Look up The Cook Up and look at the episode with the with the campers and see what
And-
they say. We didn't coach them.
Yes, we
Okay.
did. We didn't
They-
tell them what to say,
Okay.
and we found that some of the previous campers, they stay on board in order to assist the younger ones, so they still come to the camp.
Lending their experience
Yeah.
and their knowledge to the newcomers.
To the new ones.
And you know what else they experience? When they're out performing, and we see this especially for the clowns, when they're out performing in their uniform, young people in themselves, when they walk around and you see the little 2.5 foot or 1.5 foot children staring up at them in awe
Yeah,
and
yeah,
amazement.
yeah.
And you can't describe, you can't buy that
Yes.
off
yes,
a shelf.
yes.
You know, they're
Awesome
superstars.
feeling. Yeah.
Yes.
And-
Many of them want to take pictures with these young
That's right,
persons in
yeah.
their suits.
And they soak it up, they ham it up.
Yes.
They love
They
it.
love it.
They love it.
I love the what we call it, adoration.
Well deserved.
Yes, yes, and it's so rewarding for the effort that they put in when they can see that happening. Yes.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're doing to empower our young people to safeguard our cultural heritage.
Right.
The next is those same youngsters that just coming out of diapers. We're working with them too,
Okay.
because education, shaping their sense of self-identity, community,
The earlier we
purpose.
start, the better.
Yes, and we are working with the Early Childhood Development Unit, where we have been for the last, since early last year, to develop a couple of tools to, train our young persons to help them to identify with their cultural heritage and their environment as they learn the basics, the ABC, the alphabets, different concepts and so forth. So we're developing an alphabet chat, which feature culturally relevant items or subject matters to help to teach them their letters, as well as a coloring book that features different elements of our cultural heritage across all 5 intangible cultural heritage domains.
So it has a very local component
Absolutely.
in terms of the
Yeah.
artwork in it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they can associate with it.
Yes.
Yes. For example, when we speak of apple, it's not going to be an American apple.
Correct.
Sugar apple.
Right.
Things along those lines. When we speak of queen, it's not going to be the former Queen Elizabeth.
It's going
It's
to be,
going to be an
African.
African queen.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, and L is for what? Locomotive. Well, I don't want to bring out the whole thing, but you remember Loco 7 and Loco 2 and them sort of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
That's what we.
Because each of them had a specific number.
Yeah. And the illustrations are also being done by our talented local individuals.
Okay.
So you should be seeing and appreciating a nice piece of educational tool.
I like coloring still, so I can get one. And
You do like color.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. And I hope that you're in a position to share your amazing work.
my coloring.
Yeah.
I like coloring too.
Yeah, I don't know if I should lay you out. I should.
Let me out of what?
Man,
I'm not in jail.
that you're a very talented artist who have not shown his work in quite a long time.
Oh,
That is
I did
true.
not know that one.
You see there?
That is true.
That is true. And we need to work on
Yeah,
that.
I looked at a painting I have at home on the wall, and the date was 2001, and I think that was probably either 2001 or 2000 was the last time I probably put any kind of paint to.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's a long time. That's over 20 years ago.
Too long.
Too
long.
The thing is, you get caught up in
Yeah.
jobs and work and
Yeah.
this and that and so on, and you don't get time for the little pleasures that you enjoy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Yeah,
Well,
it
yeah.
happens. But hopefully, we'll encourage the kids to get involved from the time they're little.
I ain't much better, so but
I've seen
but
some
yes.
more recent work of yours than mine, anyway. So yeah.
yeah. So we'll encourage you to join in. But yes, all these things we're doing to bring out to solidify the significance of the rich cultural heritage that we have, our history, our culture. there's a lot to behold and to enjoy and to celebrate and to feel proud of. And we should all embrace our role in safeguarding it. And we're looking at every which way that we could help to empower people to do exactly that. So hence the diverse number of activities and engagement that we've been pursuing.
Wonderful. So are there any others that you have on your calendar?
Yeah, we can we can mention something that came off very well last year, and that is our SWANK competition, the Creative Cultural Music Competition, which was won by Javed Allen.
When you say swank competition, what is that? What is it?
Our it's a song competition, and it can be in any genre.
Because when I heard the word swank, I remember when we were little, we used to make a drink.
Yes, indeed.
Called swank.
Yes, indeed.
You want sweet sugar.
And the theme for that is quenching your thirst for sweet cultural music.
Okay. I
So
remember swank. A lot of us relied on swank because we didn't have money to go buy pre-made drinks, soft drinks and so on. They cost too much, like 10 cents.
Sorry.
They cost
yeah,
10 cents.
it
and
was
that
worth
too
a
much
lot
money.
in those
was a lot of money.
days.
But
yes.
you buy a pound of sugar, you go in, your parents bought sugar and have it, and you go to the
In a
tap and you
brown
find
paper
water.
bag.
You just take out some water, fill a cup with water, get some sugar, mix it up. A wonderful drink.
Yeah, and you put the dregs in your dry bread to make some relish. Yeah, man.
And interestingly enough, that is the way we promoted that competition.
Okay.
My colleague and I, my work colleague and I, Vernon Shoy, we went on to 4th Street and we asked people, what is swank? And we got so many different answers as to what exactly was swank. But the main, of course, was that it is sugar water.
Yeah.
Brown
and
sugar.
brown
sugar.
sugar. And some persons were saying that swank was the one with ice, the cold one,
Oh.
whereas beverage was
I
the one
remember that
without
word,
the
yes.
ice. And it's not beverage, it's beverage.
Beverage.
Yes. So that's the one that didn't have ice in it. And so, yes, that was an interesting afternoon for us. And again, if you look on our social media, specifically, particularly Instagram, so you find us at Cultural Heritage SKN, you're going to see some of those 4th Street interviews explaining what is swank, which is connected to the competition, quenching your thirst for sweet cultural music. And we're doing it again. So those of you who have musical know-how, or you can ally yourself with someone who, for example, can produce your music, even play the music or write your lyrics, you can get together. Or if you can do everything yourself, remember, anything cultural,
Any subject matter.
any subject matter
Culturally relevant.
that you would like to write about and sing about and play your music too, you can do that. The competition will be coming up very shortly, so keep your ears open. Stay tuned to radio stations and our social media.
Okay, and then we'll have some swank.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you do a good job, you could get some of the $10,000.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
there's
there are prizes and
Yes.
whatnot.
yeah, rewarding best lyrics and recognizing the musical arrangements and so forth. We
Yes.
really want to have sweet, culturally relevant music.
Wonderful. Sounds good.
Ain't everything got to be about shut back, woke up, and them sort
You
of
know,
thing. We could
yeah.
sing about the many other great things about St. Kitts and Nevis.
That's right. And
So,
there's so many.
the lyrics also have to be clean.
Okay. Good. That's a good effort. Yeah. Right. Now we talked a lot about reviving the culture and the things like masquerades and the clowns and the actors and mokojumbes and so on and so on. But of late, I have noticed that people have been inquiring about certain acts which they seem to have heard about from some of the oldsters, but have no knowledge of what they are. Is there any consideration for looking into and maybe even trying to revive some of those acts that may have gone by the wayside?
Yes, but I mean, hey, we're guided by what the people want and are putting their efforts behind, and then we could lend some support. But it's the number of acts that we would have lost or losing, and I mean, the team is researching to see how we could pull together information that we could share. But for anybody that has information about those that would have passed or we haven't seen for a while, we welcome you to call us, join us, visit us, and share your information so that we could make that available to whoever else would be interested in working with us, pursuing it, and we support them. Case in point, Nevis would have been doing some work in supporting the revival of some of their folklore, Johnny Walker being one. And they actually
Yes, that's one I heard somebody inquiring about,
Yeah.
Johnny Walker. And I said, but I myself don't know about Johnny Walker.
No? I used to hear about Johnny Walker growing up, but I've never seen
The
it.
only time I hear about Johnny Walker was the Scotch.
You're wrong. Yeah. But yeah, Nevis is doing some work reviving it, and they were able to bring that to the folk galore competition last December, and it generated a bit of interest as well. And I know Sandy Point High School has been doing some work to revive Nega business, and they would have been in the registered for the competition.
Business.
Yeah. So, and we lend support where we can for those areas. I've heard of sailors, Indians, Japanese girls.
Those are all. I'm hearing a lot of inquiries about those recently.
That I think they accompany the clowns.
Yes.
Sagwa.
Yes. That's one I know of.
Yeah, so the persons that have information, that have experience, would have seen these things, know what they're about. We welcome you to share your
Funny
knowledge
thing
with
is,
us.
many of the oldsters who were really involved in those things have passed, and we're losing them very rapidly.
Yeah, and we have, culturally not done a very good job of recording. I guess that's part of the heritage as well, because we come out of cultures that didn't have written languages, hence the importance of cultural performances, things like griot, who would have been the record keepers, and so who would keep the knowledge alive through spoken word and song and things like that. But we're trying to address that. So anybody that has knowledge and material, we welcome you to share it with us. So that
Right, so I hope people take up that invitation. If you have any knowledge about the cultural groups of the past that may not be going any longer, contact the Ministry of Culture and share what you know.
And just to make a plug for our Facebook page, you can find the folk galore competition on St. Kitts Culture, and do a search for folk galore, and you will see the Johnny Walker there, who came over to take part in the competition last year.
Okay, so we have a live Johnny Walker. So Nevis has revived their Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. I must look and see what it is, because I'm not familiar with it that much.
They wear their tailcoats and their top hats.
Okay, so we're going to take a little break, get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back on Heritage Matters for the last segment.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
It's the sale you've been waiting for, happening now. Discounts galore at your favorite Hosford store. Hosford's Furniture and Appliances, Ashley's Furniture Home Store, Hosford's Building and Nevis Centers, and Hosford's Auto Parts and Accessories. Get ready for discounts galore. Store discounts, big discounts, small discounts, VAT discounts, and more. We're slashing prices with at least 4% VAT off and up to 20% off store-wide on furniture, appliances, auto parts, building materials, and hardware, and so much more. Discounts galore across all Hosford stores. And that's not all. Customer discounts and even Value Club member savings mean the deals just keep getting better. Whether you're upgrading your home, tackling your next project, or fixing your ride, Hosford's has you covered. Take advantage of the discounts galore at all Hosford stores today. At Hosford's Furniture and Appliances, Ashley's Furniture Home Store, Hosford's Building and Neva Centers, and Hosford's Auto Parts and Accessories. Hurry in! These offers won't last long. Don't miss out on the biggest savings of the year. Visit any Hosford store now and start saving with discounts galore in every store. Big deals, big savings, and more. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, folks, welcome back to Heritage Matters. And we are almost at the end of the program. That 2 hours has flown quite rapidly. I guess they say time flies when you're having fun. And I think that we've had a really engaging and fun session today, talking about the culture of our St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yes, and I forgot to mention, there is some ongoing work at the craft house to make some repairs to the roof. So the craft house they're working on reduced function right now.
Okay.
But they still welcome persons to place orders, and they'll assess their capacity to address them. But don't walk in, call. It's 663-3504. That's the craft house. 663-3504. They still continue to make wonderful crafts and woodworking and things like that. But at the moment, the roof is going on to some renovations, so they would not be at full function for the next few months.
Okay. So the craft house is still vibrant and producing craft. Who are the main people that the craft is made available to the public from?
Institutions, individuals, locals, visitors, both persons from St. Kitts and Nevis who go off, living abroad, come back, want to take something home for their friends and family. Persons who come to visit on the ships, spending a few weeks here in the hotels and interested in some tokens. Craft vendors themselves, open to visit a craft house and secure materials to sell. We also service craft producers who produce things and want to have a space, so we market them for them as well. Persons interested in furniture, framing, and things like that. So individual homeowners, corporate business entities, government agencies, and so. And they do cabinetry as well. A whole host of different products and services. So feel free to visit them. Call them 663-3504 and see what they offer, and support the craft.
Yes, craft. Now I remember sometimes I take visitors on trips, specifically birding trips. As you know, I do birding. And many times when we pass the sandbox tree, I have to mention to them that, what the sandbox tree is and so on and so on. And then I like to collect from under the tree the seeds and show them how craft is made from those seeds. And they're always amazed to see how you could take that sort of insignificant looking piece of nature and transform it into something which they suddenly recognize and, oh my goodness, and all of these are things that demonstrate the creativity of our people of the past, and hopefully we can continue to and they get people to do that sort of stuff and keep it alive.
Yeah, and they continue to use local material, some byproducts from, different cottage industries, coconut shells and so forth. You remember the coconut turtles and coconut earrings?
I know there's a guy in Old Road who still does that.
Yeah.
He sells them by the petroglyphs.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
And
make shells and he make the bird feeders and stuff like that.
yeah, and all those things I remember growing up as well. And even like coconut stalks and the strands from the coconut broom, they used that to create some crafts as well.
I think when I was on the first program, I think I had talked about the use of the coconut, and I got some reaction from some people that didn't know that coconut had so many useful applications. They thought coconut was just something you drank for its water, and that you take the meat out of and you eat, and you take the meat and grate and make sugar cake.
Yeah.
You know, they thought that was it, but they didn't know it. They realized that the coconut has such a vast number of things that can be done with it.
Yeah.
From the leaves, plaiting the leaves to make fencing and hats and
everything.
All sorts of stuff. Using the bone to make. We used to take the bone to make traps.
Lizard.
To catch lizards.
It speaks to the creativity and resilience of our people.
Because of how flexible it is. It's stiff on the end and it gets thinner and thinner but flexible. You form a special loop, and if you get too close to a lizard, it will run. But you can reach out one of these stalks because it's long enough, and you approach from the back. And the lizards have eyes that can look backwards and so on, so they can see you. But when they see that thing, it's like it doesn't scare them.
Yeah, no, it doesn't register. No.
It doesn't register. And you just pull it over their head, and when they now run, and you pull at the same time, it tightens around them, and boom, you got it.
Yeah, I never participated in that. Never. Lizards are creepy.
I have.
I used to use it to make kite. Yeah. The former part of the base.
The former part, But and then even the churches, they use the palm. The soft part of that same frond to make every Easter coming up. They make the crosses, the Easter crosses. I used to be able to make rings, a ring to put on your finger out of coconut, that same part of the coconut. I have shown many kids how to do that. I've done so for a while, but I know how to do it still. You make a ring. And it lasts. You could make one of those, and 20 years later, you could still have a ring made out of coconut frond. It is that
natural.
You know,
and it's good for fertilizer, mulch, keeps moisture in the soil. It's good fuel. When
you want to start a quick barbecue fire, the husk, when you put that in there and you light it, boom.
You used to wash dishes with it too?
Yes.
I think I remember.
And the stalk that produce the coconuts, you used to take that and make coconut broom.
Broom,
Yes.
And the thicker part on it, we used to make boats.
Yes, because the part that covered it when it fell off. It have a boat shape.
It does.
And they make boats.
Get cricket bats out of
the back of the part of the branch that meets the trunk. Okay. Kind of heavy, but so many things. Coconut was like a do-it-all. And the husk too used to be used to make mattresses. You put it in mattresses. That of course is out because you now have fancy mattresses. But in the days when people couldn't afford a mattress, coconut was that mixed with another plant, of course cotton, but there's another one called the silk cotton tree that produces every so often this abundance of that material, and they would take that and they would put it in together and make mattress material, quite soft and fluffy and so on and so on.
Nice. Yeah. Look how we reached there now.
Yeah.
But so
okay. So any other things that you have in the pipeline?
Well, before we touch the Revillage and show a little bit of something, we have another opportunity for the young people to look at our cultural heritage and sayings and craft some creative works of art. We want them to tap into their dramatic energies and creativity and the cinematography and the artistic and visual skills to bring to life some of our traditional sayings. So you'll see that challenge coming shortly for our young persons in schools to create some interesting short videos based on our cultural sayings and traditions.
And a lot of these youngsters are very skillful at that, taking their cell phones and making incredible videos, you know,
Yes.
and knowing how to edit them and do all sorts of incredible stuff that was
So
only...
we want to facilitate that and encourage them to use their juices towards finding out what some of our cultural sayings mean. For example, you never see foul bottom till wind blow.
The wind blow. Yeah.
Right? What does that mean? We want them to go and ask the older ones, what does that mean? And then give us their own interpretation via drama, using their cell phones and editing, and then let's see what they come up with.
Yes, yes, yes.
Just use the technology, the piece of tool in their hands to connect with our rich cultural heritage and create something new and entertaining and educational.
So mixing the technological advancement with and connecting it with the past and the culture.
Yeah.
And making sure that they don't lose sight of that. Interesting and so on. Okay.
Right. So we had something that we were talking about We Village That, and there was a clip that we wanted to share. Are we sharing it
Ready
now?
for that now? Yeah, we're going to share a
Okay.
clip with you. So those of you looking, join us online, you'll see a clip of, Alicia, give us a commentary on that.
Well, this young lady, her name is Taslinda Bartlett, and she's accompanied by the Spirit Drummers. And what she did yesterday evening was a dance that basically, I suppose, gave us the spiritual element for the evening, in the sense that it was a blessing. And she had with her a bottle of water, and then she would pour it out onto the ground and basically do the blessing before the ceremony began. And you know, in the African heritage, there was that, the pouring some on the water, which in a way sometimes has morphed into, you know, sometimes persons drinking would pour some of the alcohol on the ground, but in this case it had a more spiritual meaning.
Okay.
And I think she does work with Marcia Jeffers.
Yes.
Yes, she's a dance teacher.
Yes, I think she
cultural
actually
stars.
taught her this blessing.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you see the skills and knowledge and practices passed on through generations.
Excellent.
And this
Okay.
young lady got potential to rise to the top and excel in her art form and be mentor to the next generation after her.
Wonderful. So let's run it. Spirit drummers. Okay. That was it. Okay, so that was it, and so we have now come to the end of our Heritage Matters, the edition for today, and so I would like to thank Mr. Pierre Liebert, the Director of Culture in the Ministry of Small Business Entrepreneurship and Cooperatives, and the Ministry of Creative Economy, and Mrs. Alicia Daniel Blake, Research and Community Officer of the same Officer of the same ministry. Thank you all for joining us today, and I think we had a very interesting and informative discussion, and shared a lot of information to the public about the programs and what the ministry is doing with regards to culture, and we applaud you for the work that you have done so far, and what you are continue to do to keep our culture alive and to make it interesting and applicable, and especially bringing in the youth, because they're the people that we need especially to bring and push forward to help to definitely keep the culture alive. So thank you all, and we'll see you again sometime soon.
Yes, sir.
Let us know when you're ready to come back so we can share lots more with the folks out there.
Okay. Thank you. That's
Thank
a deal.
you.
That's
Good,
a deal.